and I've been in real estate about 7 years. Not only am I the productivity coach, I also have a team. I have a team of about 14 agents down in the Stowe market. We deal mainly in luxury down in that area and dabble in other areas, commercial, all kinds of other things. Enough about me. Christiana.
Hello, good morning. Christiana, I am also the assistant team lead here at Green Mountain in Vermont. I also own a team. I've been in real estate for about 5 years. I'm a licensed real estate broker, and I've been a pretty heavy producer since I started, and I'm psyched to be here with everybody today.
Fantastic. Thank you. Josh, are you in?
I'm in.
What do you got, buddy? Who are you?
Hey guys, Josh here, also with KW Vermont, and I am the AMCA / MCTT / wear a lot of hats on my head. I am newly licensed myself as of like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. I don't even know. Everything's moving so fast, but I've been with KW for three plus years now. I've helped train everyone into Command. Our market center is pretty much fully integrated into Command. Some of you agents may have heard of Green Sheets. If you have, I hope you're not using them anymore. And if you are, we'll get your centers into a better system with Command.
Great, thanks. Josh, can you monitor the chat for me as well? We did have Melissa Worley was supposed to be with us this morning, my admin, but she took a free trip to Israel instead of being with us this morning with my encouragement to do that. So that's pretty awesome that she flew out on Sunday morning and was so bummed that she wasn't going to be here to help us out. But Josh, if you can do that, that'd be great.
Sure can.
And I'm going to see if I can share my screen and get our slides up and get going on this. Okay, today's Ignite session is called Embrace Your Job. And this is about taking off the start. You guys talked in the first session. We talked discussed the core competencies. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We'll cover the key priorities of a real estate agent and discuss what it takes to become not only just a real estate agent, but a fantastic real estate agent. Before we begin, I want to hear about some of your successes from last week, some of the things that happened last week, and what you did after your success system. Anybody want to share what they have happened last week with the success system? Raise your hand. This is a participatory deal, by the way. We need to hear from you guys. And if everybody could put their cameras on. Anybody want to share a success from last week at all? Someone has to have had a success last week.
When you say success system, are you referring to something that I didn't read?
Potentially. I'm sure last week, I wasn't on with Tim last week, but I believe that you all were to at least make 10 phone calls, maybe 20, reach out to people. What about a success in general in real estate? Anyone have any successes at all so far? Ashley Moon, it looks like you're talking, but you're probably talking to somebody else.
I was just laughing to myself. When you said successes in real estate right now. Well, I am making a point to be more regular with contacting my contacts, which is very uncomfortable for me usually. You know, I'm a millennial. We usually don't call on the phone. We're used to texting and instant messaging. So pushing myself out of my comfort zone is probably number one right now. And so that's what I'm working towards, is just contacting, making calls, and getting to know people.
Fantastic. I love that. By the way, I would probably say that if you are a millennial and you're communicating with other millennials and you believe that the best system is a text or a direct message or however it is you communicate with that person, I would encourage you to choose that form of communication. If the phone isn't the way that people communicate with you, don't communicate in that way. Don't pick up the phone and call. If you are calling somebody that you're trying to communicate with someone you don't know, I would probably say you should be communicating via phone. You know,
And
just.
that actually reminds me of a small success that I did have. So I
let's hear it,
have
let's hear it.
an Instagram dedicated to my real estate business. And I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I just moved to New Hampshire about 1.5 years ago. And I got a referral from Albuquerque through a conversation on Instagram. And it was all through Instagram DMs. And so I have now created a referral, referred him to an agent in Albuquerque. And so when that goes through, hopefully, you know, I'll get a little piece of that. But again, it was another millennial through Instagram. You know, it wasn't a necessarily professional conversation, but I mean, whatever works for depending on each person doesn't always have to look the same with every single conversation. So that was awesome.
100%, Ashley. That is absolutely nailed. I totally agree. It doesn't need to be the scripty practices that we sometimes have to do, the conversation practices that we all get involved in. I would encourage you to do scripting, but the conversation doesn't need to be that exactly. It should be a flow and how it goes through with you and that other person.
Hey,
So that's great. Josh?
I think that's very important. And like you said, you're a millennial, so texting is, you know, kind of the generation's preferred method of contact, but it's really knowing who you're working with, right? If it is a person of a different generation that say prefers phone calls, or God forbid a fax, right? But it's really knowing it's not necessarily a professional, you know, conversation as you said, but it is in reality, right? Because you're finding a medium to connect with that individual.
Absolutely.
And you're creating that relationship through those mediums.
100%. Anyone else want to share? I love it, Ashley. Thank you. Yes, April.
So similar to Ashley, I was, the long holiday weekend, I was at a cookout and, just casual conversation. And I've been unemployed since the pandemic hit. So I've found some creative ways to make a little money here and there. And I've become the family and friend pet sitter and house sitter. So I am going to be doing some house sitting for a cousin of mine because they want to go looking for properties down in South Carolina. And because I'm an agent, they asked me if I, knew anything about South Carolina, but I did a referral because a friend of mine, she moved down there a few years ago. She is a real estate agent in South Carolina. So I'm hoping that, follows through and that might, pan out for me as well. So it was just a matter of, an odd way to get a referral, but hey, it still hopefully will work out for me.
Just start the conversation, right? Doesn't
Yep,
matter
that's
how
it.
you do it, just start the conversation.
Yep.
Yeah, I still see a lot of people without their cameras on. If you can put your camera on, we really, really want to see your faces today. We want to know who's on and if you're participating. Anyone else have any successes from this long holiday weekend?
Yeah, I can share.
Great, let's see it, Karen. What do you got?
So I've been trying to keep in touch with my sphere for about 1 year now. And I reached out to an old coworker that lives a couple of towns away. And she said she's been interested in selling her house. We got to that conversation. And she said, I had a bunch of people on my list, including you, to reach out to as realtors. But now that you've called, I think we should get together. And I said, that would be great. So I said, I can practice my listing presentation on you. And we could talk about that. So we're going to have coffee in a couple of weeks. So hopefully that works out into a listing.
That's huge.
That's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to add to that's something that I'm learning is taking the initiative, because a lot of times it's like, who's going to contact me first? Who's going to start the conversation? You have to be the first one, because I'm sure they know somebody that's a real estate agent who's going to step up to take care of them. So it's gotta be us.
Absolutely. I felt the same because one of the people that she was interested is her neighbor. So she knows her neighbor is a realtor, but because I reached out, which I was really happy, it was just like perfect timing. She said, you know what, I think, we should get together. And instead of me saying it, she said it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Anyone else? By the way, when we talk, I should have said this at the beginning. If you could tell us who you are and where you're from, what market center you're with, that would be awesome. Anyone else have any successes? Just throw your hand up in the digital chat. What about challenges then? If you don't want to share your successes, tell us the difficulties that you had with reaching out to people.
The mindset shift of no holidays. Holidays don't exist in the real estate business. You work through Labor Day.
That's right.
Well, you know, some of the best opportunities are also, I learned this very early on in my career, especially in Vermont, where we have very extreme seasons. And we always say that people buy houses when the sun is out, right? But what do people do when it's raining out? They sit inside. So what better time to call people than when they're already sitting inside, likely browsing Zillow? So it's just one of those things where it is a mindset shift, and you kind of get into the groove of figuring out who's going to be home when. And it's usually those holidays or those weird days off that we have.
So anyone else have any challenges?
I do.
Yeah, go ahead. Who is it?
Grace. It's Grace.
Hey, Grace,
Grace.
how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Okay, great. Where are you from, Grace?
I live in Windham, New Hampshire, and I'm in the Salem office, Salem, New Hampshire office.
Cool. What's the challenge you had?
Okay, so I've been licensed since January, really putting the work in since April, doing open houses every weekend, like 3-4 open houses every single weekend since April. So now I do have like maybe 9-10 people in like my collaboration center, and they're checking listings, but things are not moving on. And that was my almost only way of business, is open houses. And I am at a point now, I'm wondering, like, should I be seeking other options? Like, I hear people do like cold calling, they do door knocking, and other people tell me, like, just if you're doing something, just focus on it and keep doing it. And I am at a point like, should I keep doing open houses because really nothing is moving, or should I try to do other stuff? And I'm kind of lost between the ways of generating leads. There are so many ways, and I don't know which way is the way to go for me.
I would say that I would say that whoever gave you the advice of focusing on one thing was right. You really want to focus on something, right? But what you should be focusing on is lead generating, and not necessarily one form of lead generating. So
Okay.
you should, I mean, standard practice says you should have between 3 and 5 ways to lead generate. And, you know, open houses are great, but those are typically only Saturdays and Sundays, correct?
Yes.
So what are you doing Monday through Friday?
What I usually do is I do a Facebook advertising about the open house I'm gonna host. And then usually I generate around 20, on average, between 15 and 20 leads during the week.
Great.
So what I do is I call them, I put them on like Smart Plan. I add them to my contact, and I add them to like automatic search. And by the time it's the weekend, I do the open houses. I contact the people I met at the open houses and go on. That's
Follow up
how.
with them. Yep, that's great. What about door knocking in that neighborhood?
I did that. I've been doing that like almost every 2 months. Either I sent a letter, I knocked on the doors first, and then I sent a letter with the small gift.
Okay.
But
With a
that was
small
all-
gift?
That was only 50 houses like around my neighborhood. And since then, like, houses have been going on the market in my neighborhood, and I just see it on Realtor when it goes on the market. So
It's
Yes.
frustrating, right? Go ahead, Christiana.
Well, what I would say is that what you could be doing is before you do an open house, you could be doing some door knocking and just saying, hey, I'm hosting an open house this weekend. Would love to see you there. Do you know anyone in the area who's looking to buy in this area or something like that? You could also go after the open house also and just say, hey, I don't know if you stopped by, but I was hosting the open house, and just allowing people to know that you are there outside of like Facebook. I think that you're on the right track, and it's kind of that 90-day rule. Like, you know, when you what you do today will come to fruition in 90 days. So it's really making sure that you just making sure that you are staying consistent with the activities that you're doing. But like Mike said, definitely make sure you're having multiple streams of lead generation.
So
And then
cold
follow up.
calling-
I was just going to say, make sure you're following up with these people, you know, throwing them in, you know, command, making sure they're on smart plans and drips, and then also making sure that you are, you know, creating a task list in command to follow up with these people. Make notes for yourself on every single person. What were they like? What was their interest level? Making those little touches so that when you do contact them in a couple of weeks, you can say, hey, I really remember, whatever it was. You said that you really liked the appliances of this one. Another house came on the market that had very similar appliances. Have you seen it? You know, and just start creating conversations that way. And those little things are going to make a really big impact on what you're doing.
Anyone else have any challenges? Thanks, Grace. Appreciate it.
I feel like, oh, hi, I'm
Kayla,
Kayla,
where you
and
from?
I'm from Connecticut, the greater Hartford area.
Great. Nice to meet you.
I kind of, to add on to that, I feel like that was one of my challenges, was like just staying consistent and continuing to go on, even if you're not seeing the results right now, sort of like continuing and being like, in the future, like this is really gonna pan out. But you just have to stay consistent and like hold yourself accountable, which is hard sometimes.
It's very difficult, actually, right? I mean, they say that real estate is a fun career. It's a career that we have an opportunity to make a great life for ourselves, but there's a lot of monotony in it. There's a lot of things that we have to do every single day, which is potentially just lead generating. That is not fun. It's sort of, you know, repetitive, same thing over and over and over again, especially if you're in a cold calling system. You know, getting up every day and working from 9 to noon, just doing cold callings, not a fun thing to do. But what happens in the afternoon and in the evenings is what makes it really fun. Getting to set appointments, getting to show properties, working and helping other people is what the key is. I think Christiana talked about it though, the 90-day deal. The work that you're doing today will pay dividends, you know, 90 days from now is what we typically say. It's difficult. This market's really, really hard. It's amazing to me that new people are joining this industry based on the fact that it's a very, very difficult market. A buyer's market's always hard because there's very, very low inventory. We're actually starting to, I don't know what's going on here, why all of a sudden this has changed here. We're starting to see, the market shift a little bit here in Vermont. Certain sections of Vermont are starting to change. I'd love to hear if any of you folks have started to see something like that in your area. Anybody starting to see a shift in your market? Because this is what Grace and Kayla are talking about. It's still a buyer's market. And
Seller's market.
Seller's market, sorry, a seller's market. And it's really difficult right now.
Houses are staying longer on the market, and I'm seeing more reduces in prices.
Yep, great. Is that across the state you're seeing that in New Hampshire?
Well, in like the area we are in, I feel like it's one of the most desirable in New Hampshire, and we are still seeing like price reduce and houses are staying longer. Not all the houses, like the medium priced ones, the nice ones are still going within few days, but the priced ones are not going anymore.
Yep. Christina Bates. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Fantastic. Where are you from?
I am in Central Connecticut, based out of the 815 Market Center.
Great.
Apologies, I have a little cold. So similar to what Grace just said, if it's a really pristine home, especially if it's in that mid-price range, it's still going really fast, above listing, still multiple offers. But for the very high-end houses, seeing a lot of price reductions and staying on the market longer. And then for the homes that are not pristine, and I have pets, sorry about that, and that are not pristine, again, staying on the market longer, seeing price reductions on those as well. So it's still, there's definitely is still not enough inventory, not even close. So it's still a seller's market big time. But really, if your house isn't perfect and if it's not in that mid-level range, then it's going to take longer.
Christina, have you actually, how long have you been in real estate?
So I started out in property management. So this is my third total year in real estate, but I just switched to Keller Williams in May.
Okay, and how are you finding it?
I love it. I love it, but it is, it's a challenge to get myself organized and have that system, that like 9 to 12 system of lead generating. I'm still struggling with that. I did Bold in July, which was great, but it was also like I really wasn't prepared for it. I had kid vacations and stuff. So as I said, I did Bold light. I didn't really do all the things I was supposed to do. So now I'm here to, now that my kids are back at school and, I've got my weekdays back to myself, I'm here to kind of get myself set up on a system.
Very cool. I'm glad that you're here. Bold light, I've never heard that term before. Is that
That's what Bill Hobbs, when we were talking about, like, if you do Bold, really try to, for anyone out here who's thinking about doing Bold, it is a time commitment, and make sure you're going to have the time to put into it. I learned a ton, but I had not like prepared to have the time to, do all the things that you need to do. And so, yeah, so that's what Bill Hobbs called it. Like, did you do Bold or did you do Bold light? Or maybe it was a participant. I don't remember. But
No,
yeah, I
think
definitely
I've heard
did
that
Bold
as well.
light. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bold light? I love it.
Yeah.
No, I think you bring up a lot of good points, though, is that, a lot of people say that they want to be in real estate because it's flexible, but you still have to show up. And you still have to show up not only for yourself, but for your clients and for your job, because at the end of the day, you are running your own business. And a lot of people in our industry, and especially because of the last 2 years, we've been really spoiled in the sense that we didn't have to do those monotonous tasks of lead generation every single day. But now it's time to kind of get back to the fundamentals of what real estate is. And that's the really hard work that goes into it. Who else?
NG.
Angie.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
I'm from Massachusetts with Keller Williams South Watapa in Fall River and Dartmouth. I've been in the real estate for about a month now, but I feel super lost. Like I go to trainings maybe once or twice a week, and I always follow up with my coachings and all my like the people that help us and all my leaders and stuff. But I feel like super lost. I don't know what I'm doing, and I have been going on the phone sometimes. I have hard time finding like the time, but I try when I can. And I love being on the phone. I just hate that objections because I don't know how to like deviate or answer their objections. Yeah, I'm having a hard time in that.
Objection handlers are so fun. Who are you doing script practice every day, Engie? I don't know how you say your name.
It's NG.
NG,
Yes,
okay.
I do have scripts that I tend to like read over and over, and like even when I'm on the calls, like I have them in front of me just to know what to say. But sometimes it's just not what I
would normally say. Well, it's really interesting because when I first started, I really hated script practicing. However, I recognize that there's so much value in there because it does go over kind of objection handling. And as soon as you get out of the script mode and just into conversations and getting into conversations with people, you realize that throughout the day, you're handling objections all day long. And what your job is truly to become the market expert and to know the just know the facts about your area. So one thing that I would probably recommend that you do is just study your market, know what's going on, talk to other real estate agents, talk to mortgage lenders, talk to people, and just say, hey, what are you seeing? What are you experiencing? Because as you get into it and the more you do this, you're going to start to hear the same questions over and over again. And so those objections are going to be like second nature to you, and they're no longer going to be objections for you. So I would say just making sure that you are getting into conversation with multiple people, different kinds of people, and just make sure you're having just conversations and becoming the expert in your area.
Hey, Christiana, we have a question from Karen. Where do you find the best scripts?
That's a good question. I know that there's a leadership script booklet, but honestly, I know that our market center hosts script practicing I think it's 3 times a week. And so that's open to all people. And then we can definitely send our script practice out, because Wednesday mornings are a good one with our team lead. And we just kind of go around and talk about what did we see during the week? What are the objections that we heard? That sort of thing. So that's a really good question. And then also, make sure most market centers will have script practicing. Make sure you're getting on those calls, those Zoom calls, those, calling other real estate agents saying, hey, do you mind just like scripting with me for a couple minutes? Making sure that you start your day with that every single day allows you to really get fired up for the day. I know that when we do our leadership script practice, after that, immediately I want to get on the phones because I want to talk to people because I'm so hyped up over the conversations that we've had, and just hearing what other people have to say.
I can't believe you said that you didn't like script practicing at first.
I have
hated
something
it.
to add that I think might help. I'm someone who's very new. We're getting a lot of objections when talking to people. So I'm getting the same objections regularly. I made a bunch of post-its of
look at you, Ashley
regular
Boone.
objections that
I love
I
that.
get, because we're going to be getting the same ones as the market shifts. We're going to be getting the same kind of objections. So knowing what you're going to be coming across and even kind of writing your own scripts. So I've been trying to practice scripts too. I've been going to the Tom Ferry, he will send you free scripts for signing up for his email. The Close will send you free scripts. So I'm just trying to collect as many scripts. Of course, a lot of them are really cheesy, but of course, like making your own scripts and using the real life objections that you're actually getting is what's helping me. And also just, again, from new person to new person, I think we're supposed to not know what we're doing. It's all about moving that needle forward every single day and, unraveling the tangled mess of our minds, because we're being overloaded with information, and just pick the few things that resonate and run with them. And that's what's helping me. I just wanted to share that.
Love it, Ashley. Ashley, where are you from? You didn't introduce yourself. What market center you're with?
I am with Portsmouth.
Oh, Portsmouth.
Hey, Mike.
Sure.
Yes, Josh.
What are your thoughts on, as we talk about scripting and, kind of getting into that, let's call it role play. How do you find a balance with using these scripts effectively, but also keeping authenticity in the conversation?
Yeah, I think it's a great point, Josh. One of the most important things I say whenever I bring in a new agent, I always say you want to be yourself. Try not to imitate or look. We have probably one of the best scripters ever known to man in our office. Our team leader, Brian Armstrong, he's absolutely a wizard at it. He can quote books and quote conversations that go back, eons. I don't know how he does it. And he's just such a great scripter. He's got all the objection handlers down. He's really, really good at it. But if you've ever tried to imitate him or try to bring up something that he says, it's a huge mistake, because it's not yours. And people know it almost automatically that you're trying to quote somebody. And definitely don't try to make it your own. Whenever I would say something on the lines of, for example, one of Brian's famous quotes is have form but yet be formless. I will always give him credit for that, so it continues to make me authentic. You always want to make sure if you're giving someone credit, if you're stealing something from somebody, give them credit. Don't just take it and try to make it your own. He has so many of them, it's unbelievable, but try to be authentic, be yourself. The other thing too, I want to make everyone aware of is script practice doesn't necessarily mean getting on the phone with somebody else and having a back and forth. You can do that. It's probably the most common way to do it. I do think the Wednesday one that we have with our office is great because there's multiple people on it, and a lot of people just listen, and they listen to the objections and how they handle the objection handling so that they get better at it. My own personal way that I script practice, and people laugh at me all the time, is I script in the car by myself on my way back and forth to the office. It's 45 minutes in the car, and I even throw out my own objections to my own conversations. I do it aloud, by the way, too, because it's the only way you can do it. You really can't do script practice in your own mind, but I do it aloud to myself. I actually have my own objection handling. I also do it on the way to appointments, as I'm going to an appointment. And yeah, I look a little strange in my car. That's why I got the tinted windows in my new truck, so that no one can actually see me talking to myself. But I found it to be very, very successful for myself, to make myself more comfortable before I go into the conversation.
And it's okay if you don't know the answer to things too. Like anytime I've been met with a really strange objection, I'm like, that's a really great question, and I don't have an answer for you. But let me dive deep into that. And that's another touch point too. So being vulnerable enough to be like, I don't know, but let me find out, you're a human, and that's really, there's a lot of power in that too.
I think one of the best answers you can give is I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Let me get the answer for it.
I was gonna say, Mike, that's the important part. If I don't have the answer, I have the resources to find it for you.
Yeah. Michael O'Donnell, you turned your mute off. You have something you want to share, buddy?
No, I'm brand new. I just did the onboarding process a few weeks ago, so I'm just kind of taking this all in. I missed the class on Thursday last week, so I'm trying to absorb what you guys are talking about right now. But
Cool.
I'm actually learning a lot. I'm going to be out of the Beverly Market Center in Beverly, Mass. I think I'm either going to be working out of the Newburyport Topsfield office.
Fantastic. Welcome to KW.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Thank you.
And just to point out, if anyone did miss the prior session, I shared in the chat the YouTube link to all the prior recordings for trainings that you may have missed. You can go back and watch those.
Okay, so today, by the end of today, what we're going to be able to do is talk about and to be a part of the 6 core competencies of a business. We're hopefully going to recognize the role of fiduciary for your clients, and we're going to review the success systems. Okay, so what we really want to do is start thinking about the way you'll learn and what you're going to learn. Consider questions that you need to ask. We really, really want everyone to ask anything that you have for us. We're here to help and to answer questions. Christiana, Josh, and myself are all experienced at KW, and we want to help. That's why we're here. So please don't hesitate. If you have a question, definitely ask it. If you don't want to stand up and put your hand up and talk on screen, that's fine. I still want everyone to turn on their screens if they can, but type it in the chat and Josh will read it for us. Okay. There's a couple of things in this program that we're supposed to do, which would be in the classroom, and we just can't do it. We're supposed to take a 5-minute conversation today where we get together with accountability partners and all that kind of stuff. Tim Lindsay last week, when my good friend Tim Lindsay ran the last session, and he talked about accountability partners, and you were supposed to go get an accountability partner. How many people got themselves an accountability partner? How many have an accountability partner? Hands up on the accountability partner.
Awesome.
Do we have a lot?
Accountability buddies.
We need to make sure that we all have an accountability partner. I don't see a lot of hands going up. Christiana, do you see a lot of hands going up?
I saw a few, yeah.
Michelle Long.
Michelle Long.
Christina, great. Michelle, tell us, Michelle, what your experience is with your accountability partner. What's it like?
Well, we just actually are just getting ready to start. Angel LaRose and I, who Angel's not on today, she has a medical appointment. She can't be here online with everybody, but we went to career night week before last, and even though I'll be licensed 2 years in December, and Angel just came up on her year anniversary being licensed, and talking and listening to Christiana and Matt Bex was just amazing. And our managing broker, Diana Benoit, you know, as you guys know her, is amazing as well. But we meet once a week. But I really liked Matt's, like, you know, every morning they meet and they do the gratitude and the commitment. So we've talked to Diana about doing that. And she may not always need to be able to be there with us to do that. But Angel and I have decided that every day that we are going to meet for at least 15 minutes on the phone and be accountable to each other and talk about our day, what we're going to do. And then the following day we can follow up and see if we were able to achieve what, you know, our goals were set for the day prior, and moving forward, you know, how we're going to achieve those and what our new goals are for the next day.
I love that so much. No, I think it's so important because it's really easy to like write down our goals and that sort of thing. But I know that when we do our stand up, it's what are we grateful for and what are our goals today? And it doesn't have to be, you know, this long drawn out thing. It could be 15 minutes long, but as a group, we definitely stand up and say, this is what I'm grateful for. And it could be the silliest things. It could be, I'm grateful for the dinner that I had last night, or I'm grateful for, you know, the morning walk that I had, or, you know, whatever it is, but it allows you to reframe your mind and then conquer the day. So I absolutely love that you're implementing that. Who else?
Well, for us, just I just want to add, and I don't know what a lot of people's situations are. The market center for me is like a 40-minute drive. I don't go to the market center. My actual office is a half an hour from me. So Angel and I both primarily work out of our home office. So having that disconnect and not being in the market center every day or being in my actual office every day, I think that having an accountability partner is really key to keep you connected every day.
I love the connection part of it, right? I mean, we
Yes.
really want to be connected to not only our clients, but also other realtors. So I love it. And I'm glad that Christiana and Matt Bex actually sort of gave you that sort of idea how that worked, the career night.
Yes, it was fabulous.
Okay, anyone else want to share anything about accountability partners? Who they have, what they're doing? Christina, I know you said you put your hand up, you have one.
Guys, yeah, I'm actually working on having a couple, or trying to figure out how or how we can make it work. I'm trying to figure out if I want to have a coach. So I'm talking with the coach and with my business office to see, you know, how that would look, because I'm not brand new, and I do have some clients already. So just trying to figure out how to make that work for everybody. And then I do have someone who we're going to meet on Thursday to talk about mentorship and accountability and stuff like that. And she's just a powerhouse. So I got to shadow her a couple weeks ago, and she's just like a ninja warrior out there, you know, just hustling all the time. So I'm excited about that. So they're not like totally set up, but they're in the works. And actually, this might be a little more relevant. I'm working with my kids and my husband to also make them my accountability partners. So for the kids this weekend, they're 8, 11, and 13. And, you know, of course, in the past, it's been like, you have to go on a showing, you know. So and this is something I learned in Bold, is I sat with them and we created like a tiered system of like when mommy closes, you know, a house, what kind of reward, and you help out, you know, by helping with the house. I'm even trying to give them little marketing jobs. You know, what does that mean? Okay, this is the reward. Okay, when mommy
closes on 3 houses, you know, what's the reward going to be? Okay, when mommy closes on 15, 35, 45, you know, what is that going to look like? And it's got them all fired up and they're super excited. I'm going to get also like a big, I don't know how big, but you know, some kind of a whiteboard or frame or something like that, where, and I saw this, I stole this from another agent, you know, with little houses, and each time I close on a house, you know, I'll show it on the board and put it somewhere visually so we can all sort of keep track of it. And same with my husband, of course, in a more like orderly fashion. Every Friday morning or Friday, we're going to meet and go over our goals as a family and our goals also as like for my business and stuff. So I'm trying to set up as many accountability partners as I can.
That's great.
Yeah.
No, that's huge. And then involving your family also is just, it gets people excited, but you're also creating an environment where you're showing your kids, like you're teaching your kids life lessons, right? Like that is so huge, of being able to say like, this is what you do when you keep promises to yourself.
Right.
And, you know, making sure that you create good habits from the beginning. I feel really bad for people who got into real estate in 2020, didn't have to do any of the general stuff of like real estate. And now all of a sudden they're like, what do I do? We're starting from square one. And it's really just that fundamentals of creating goals for yourself, keeping those promises to yourself, creating a 411, and however that looks like for you, and involving your family is just like, that's so good.
All right, let's talk about goals and successes, success stories and goals. What excites you most about being a real estate agent? What are people most looking forward to? Christiana, you want to share what you get look forward to most about to get the conversation going?
Yeah, no.
Most about being an agent.
I love just the connection and the ability to be a facilitator. And, you know, home ownership is such a dream for so many people. And I know my very first year was such a pivotal moment because I came to this realization that I had the ability to make things happen for people that they may not have otherwise known about, right? I remember when I bought my first house and I was like, I don't even know what to do. But, you know, my first year, it was really focusing on like that first time home buyer. And I had created an environment where I was able to facilitate something that I was making dreams come true. And that's a really powerful thing. And not everybody has the ability to do that. And I think that gets lost a lot too with the more busy we get, the more money that comes in, that sort of thing. It's really easy to step away and kind of like disconnect from the basics of what we do, but we're changing people's lives. And that is just such an amazing feeling that you are able to, you know, you only buy your first house once, you only buy your first investment property once. And what kind of experience are you creating for this people? And I have like such a good, most of my past clients have become such close friends because they're like, you kind of go through it together. So it's really just that connection with people and being able to use you as a resource for everything. People will still contact me and be like, hey, what's the market doing? You know, and just creating an environment where people see you as a resource, look up to you as a mentor in and outside of, you know, life and, you know, whatever that looks like. So that's like, lights me up.
I love the fact that people contact you about the market. I also think that we become the conduit for the community, you know, especially if they're new in the area. People call us all the time and want to know recommendations for not only restaurants and plumbers and roofers. They also want to know, who do you recommend as a dentist and chiropractor? You become the conduit to the community, and you know, you really should be all things to as many people as you can. It's going to be beneficial in your business. Karen.
For me, having my own business is really what excites me about doing real estate. I worked for a company for 30 years and retired in 2020. And I wish I had done this sooner. I am so excited to be able to learn a little bit about the entire system of real estate, not just selling homes, but with marketing and photography, and learning about different lenders and loans and everything, just in general. And I have a son that's turning 18 next year, and I've already got him pumped up to also get his real estate license and maybe start our own team with my family members. So yeah, that's what really makes me excited.
That's great. Anyone else about what gets them amped up about real estate? What gets you excited about starting
Mike,
this career
We have a
path?
question in chat.
Go ahead, Josh.
Marion said, asked, they said that I got an investment house, sold it after 2 years, and now I really want to buy two. Family, is it a good time to buy?
It's always a good time to buy, right?
My
Sooner is
thoughts
always better than-
exactly.
Sooner is always better than later, right?
Yeah, because you never know what the market's going to do. You never know how it's going to change. And there's so many. I mean, if it's an investment property too, there's so many different mortgage programs that you can take advantage of right now. That I would be encouraging you to talk to a lender to get going. But you never know where the market's going to go, so it's always a good time to buy. Ashley.
So something I'm really excited about, and one of the biggest reasons why I got into real estate is, I came from a very poor Latino community, and growing up, we had this scarcity mindset with money and investing, and I always thought buying a house was this huge commitment that was going to drain my bank account and drain my resources, until I actually went through the process myself. I found how easy it was. I found how great of an opportunity it was to invest in my home instead of paying rent every month, paying someone else's mortgage, paying my own mortgage, and then selling it and making a profit and putting it towards something else, just learning of how to invest my money, learning more about money. And I would love to teach, my friends, my family, where I came from, all of these amazing things that I'm learning, because it is easy. It is a lot of fun, and it is life-changing. Creating that generational wealth comes from somewhere. Our children don't have to grow up the same way we did. Our grandchildren don't have to grow up the same way we did. So I've got a very deep why that is pushing me every single day, because it is just a mindset thing. Our money mindset messes with us, and we have to unlearn it. So
I think you're so right, Ashley. I love it. It's awesome.
Okay, we got another one here in the chat, Mike.
Go ahead.
This is about cold calling. So we have, when you decide to do cold calling, how would you pick neighborhoods that you would call? Do you start with high end, medium level? Where's the place to start, or how do you choose?
I personally, the way I would do it is I start with my own neighborhood. And that's how I started my business. I went to my local neighborhood. I picked 100 addresses around my neighborhood, and that became my farm. And believe me, it's so frustrating. Someone listed a house in my neighborhood in my farm the other day, and I was so mad about it, but you just got to get over that and move on. Hopefully you find the buyer for that house. Christiana, you have any advice on that?
No, I would just say, if there's a specific area that you are interested in being a local expert in, there is no right answer to that. It's whatever, play to your strengths. And I tell that's another beautiful thing about real estate, is that there is no one way to do this. There are so many different ways that you can use to, quite literally play to your strengths. So if you're close to an area, or if you want to be in a luxury neighborhood, door knock, call those people. If they don't, if you call those people, this is the other thing, is like follow up. So even if you get met with no, send them a handwritten card saying, thank you so much for answering my phone call. No means not right now. And so it's just one of those things where there is no right answer. Whatever you decide to do and whatever you are wanting to do, absolutely go for it.
Yeah, no does not mean no forever, right? I always say follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. When you think you've followed up too many times, follow up one more time until they actually tell you stop calling me. So having a career in real estate is really, really rewarding. I agree with Christiana. My passion for real estate is because I love having the opportunity to help a first-time home buyer find their first-time home. I love helping a family find their forever home. I love helping a retirement couple recognize the equity that they have in their property to fulfill their retirement dreams, help them sell their house and fulfill their retirement dreams. In my area, I sell a lot of luxury homes, a lot of second homes. So I also love enjoying helping a multi-generational family find a vacation home that they can use as a family. So I'm super passionate about it. Sometimes I'm so passionate about it. I public speak a lot because I'm the state president, and I actually sometimes get choked up and emotional when I talk about real estate. That's how passionate I am and how much I love it. But being a real estate agent is extremely rewarding. It's an opportunity for us to support somebody else to help make one of their most important life decisions a success. Behind the big results of a successful real estate career are building strong and good habits. And that's what's going to make you most successful, is having good habits, taking the small steps every single day to help you find that life and lead to that life that you want to live, that big life that we're all looking for. So let's talk about some day-to-day activities that successful real estates do. And they're the 6 core competencies, okay? They're the 6 core competencies of your business. So the 6 core competencies of business are priorities you must focus on and to run your business. Incorporating these 6 core competencies in your business activities can help you find and implement the best in success, all right? So here are the 6 core competencies. If I can change that. Well, my slides aren't changing. Hang on a second. Why are my slides not changing? Here we go. All right, there we go. Can everyone see that? Okay, so lead generate, capture and convert to appointments. Present buyers and sellers to get agreements. Show buyers and market sellers, write, negotiate contracts, coordinate the sale to closing, and manage money. We reviewed the overall path of Ignite, and you can see that this will cover all of our competencies here. We'll try to go through each and every one of these today so that you understand. We'll build on each of them as we go through this. This is about running a successful business. It involves engagement in all of these 6 core competencies. This is the success plan. This is what you're going to need to help you get through your business. Okay, lead generate and capture leads. This is probably the hugest job that you're going to have. This is actually what Gary Keller says. I'm sorry, go ahead, Christiana.
I just said hugest. That's a new one.
Wait, no, didn't Donald Trump? No.
Probably.
So this is probably the most important thing that you're going to do. And I think that Gary Keller actually says that almost in any job, this is our #1 job, lead generating. So this is where you have to put your time and your energy. It's probably the most important part of it. Finding the way to, I think we've already talked a little bit about how some people do it. We've talked about cold calling. We've talked about open houses. We've talked about Facebook. We've talked about reaching people where they want to be reached, whether it's a DM, whether it's a text, however we do it. This is probably the #1 thing that you could do on a day-to-day basis and make this a daily habit. And yes, we need to time block for it. I'm not sure who said it, but they struggle with, I think Christina said it, struggles with the whole 9 to 12 focusing on lead generating. But you must have leads to survive in this business. Without leads, you don't have a business. You really should get in the habit of talking to people every single day and talking to them and letting people know that you sell real estate. There's so many opportunities for us on a daily basis to talk about real estate. And I often finding myself kicking myself when I leave a situation that I should have talked about real estate. For example, this morning, I was at the Oil and Go here getting my oil changed at 7 o'clock this morning. And there was 6 other people in the lobby. And I probably should have brought up the fact that I worked in real estate and if any of them had any questions about real estate, I'd be willing to talk with them about it. I happen to have had my head in my computer because I was preparing for this class and I was reviewing some of the materials that we're going to talk about today. So I didn't do it. But when I got in my car, I thought to myself, damn, that was a missed opportunity. So how many missed opportunities do we have? Any of you guys have a missed opportunity when you should be sharing about real estate?
So Mike, I want to pop in. There was one comment about how one of the newer agents is still working, their full-time job. And the ultimate goal, I assume, is to, transition full-time into real estate. But while you're still in your full-time job, especially if you work for a larger company, you can turn your current colleagues and staff and roster and people or whoever your work structure is into your database, right?
100%. 100%. Anyone else want to share a missed opportunity that they had or an opportunity that they took advantage of to talk about real estate?
Missed opportunities, and I think we kind of talked about it earlier about taking the initiative and being the first one to reach out. Can't remember who it was that they said they had reached out to somebody that they knew. They even have a neighbor that was a real estate agent, but they started the conversation. So I have been sending out mailers and trying to talk with my neighborhood, my actual street. I decided to start right where I live. But before I sent those mailers out, my perfectionist mindset was like, these mailers have to be perfect. It literally took me like 2 weeks to finalize my mailers. And within those 2 weeks, 3 houses went up for sale. And I'm not saying those could have been mine, but they could have been mine. I could have at least used those opportunities to practice talking with these people that are going to be posting their homes for sale or possibly searching elsewhere. I feel like anytime I see a house for sale in my neighborhood or something, I feel like it's a missed opportunity because I didn't take the initiative to start the conversation, to go walking around, door knocking, not just the mailers, but to take it a step further than that. So I think a lesson learned is to take it a step further than that, not just the mailers, but go introduce yourself, make yourself known to wherever you plan to prospect.
And always remember that big why. Why are you doing it? You're the one that talked about your big why. Why are you doing it? So get out there, put yourself out there. The other thing too that you should recognize is that perfection is, what do they say? Perfection is the obstacle to perfection, I guess. To profit. Perfection is the obstacle to profit. So don't worry about perfection, especially if it's something casual like that. You're not being interviewed on television. You're not having posted in the newspaper. Don't worry about perfection. It's going to be.
And also, like, especially when it comes to design aspects, no one's going to notice unless you do like a typo. And then honestly, that's an opportunity for a good touch point. Just be like, oh my gosh, I'm so silly. Whatever. Like, whatever it is, just making sure that like no one is going to see that. It's like when you walk through a house for 15 minutes, how many people are going to see all of the imperfections of the house? Likely nobody but you or the homeowner. It's the same exact situation. And it's just creating deadlines for yourself. So if you are designing a postcard, if you are designing a mailer, put a deadline on for yourself and make sure that you are keeping those promises to yourself and getting it out. Because 2 weeks to design something, just like you said, you're going to learn a lot more from those missed opportunities than you probably would from the 2 weeks that you spent designing something.
Cristiano, is that a strategy?
Go ahead, Josh.
What's that?
Is that typo a strategy to get that touch point?
It's not, but I've done that before. I've sent out like and I ended up, it actually like ended up being a really good opportunity, and there truly are opportunities everywhere. You just have to find them. And so I ended up sending it to, my little town, which only has like 300 people. And I was like, I'm such an idiot. I spelled my own name wrong or whatever it was. And everyone laughs about it. But again, it gives you that human aspect too of, you are still human. You're not a robot. And you both can have a laugh at your expense.
There is a hidden strategy that I've realized. So because I'm new to the area, I'm trying to use social media to kind of branch out, get to know people and, in the local community. And I make TikToks, whatever. I
Cool.
have specifically spelled something wrong on the TikTok because people will almost always point out when you do something wrong. And so when people comment, oh, you're dumb, you misspelled this, it actually pushes my video out further where I get more views, more likes. And I had one video blow up because they thought my idea was so stupid. And I'm like, it sucks that it's bringing in the negative energy, but at the same time, there were a lot of people that liked the idea. And so I may just use that as a social media strategy in the future. Do something
go.
ever so slightly off just to bring the attention of people, push my video out further in the algorithm.
Yeah.
It's so true, right? I mean, I know that Josh and Christiana have probably seen this before, but before I became a part of leadership, I used to do online videos of DIY projects around the house. And my infamous thing was I wore pink pants. I don't happen to have pink pants on today, but that was the thing. I wore pink pants, and the commentary that I got on the pink pants were ridiculous. I mean, people really, really more about the pink pants than what I was actually doing on the video. So, but like you say, Ashley, the more comments you get, the more it drives up. So it continued to get more and more views. So, so lead generating, number one thing. The biggest thing that we want to do when lead generating is make it a system. So actually, in your case, you really want to continue to reach out to those people that you started your farming with on a regular basis. Make it a system. Make sure that you're doing it. If it's a weekly email to people, make sure you're doing it on a regular basis. If you're doing phone calls, make sure it's a process that you're doing on a regular basis.
Hey, Mike, we have a chat question that kind of relates into what you're talking about with systematically, lead generating.
Yeah.
It's about door knocking in your neighborhood. So the question is, or comment is, I've heard you should give out market analysis or even an equity estimate to each specific house. Can you talk more about this?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the most important things that we can do to be successful in lead generating and to be successful in our business is come from a place of contribution, right? I mean, that's probably what most people want is they want help. They want to feel like you're being supportive of them. So coming from a place of contribution, whether it's, giving some data statistics, giving a free analysis, a free assessment of their property. And in my case, when I used to do those DIY videos, I told people things about their houses they didn't know. It was a simple thing about how to use a double hung window. Most people in the world don't know how to use a double hung window, which is crazy to me. If you want to open your window to cool your house, you open it from the top and from the bottom so that you have access on both ends. But, coming from a place of contribution is so important. So yes, I've always wanted to do a newsletter for my team, and we just launched our first newsletter. And one of the most important things that we did was put in the local market data for our area. We also did a list of events. We're based in Stowe, but we did a list of events in Stowe and a list of events in, in Burlington. So what you want to do is come from a place of contribution. Hope that answered that question. What do you think, Josh?
Can I add to it? I'm the
Grace,
one who asked the
absolutely.
question.
Yeah, to it.
So is it practical to do a home equity analysis for each house? Is that something, isn't it that time consuming and not really practical?
I would say for each house, yes. I would say that's probably impractical. But what you could do is offer it to people. In a letter to introduce yourselves to the neighborhood, I would write in there something about if you'd like me to come and do an analysis of your property, we could do a market analysis of your property, and then do the ones that people respond to. Not going with a market analysis to every single property though. You're not Zillow.
So I would say that, if you're in Vermont's a little bit hard because we have very few cookie cutter neighborhoods, but if you're in an area where you're doing a market analysis, you could do a generalized view or of a zip code or a town or anything and just say, overall, the prices of homes have appreciated X amount. What does that mean for you? And then try to get a sense of like where they're at, if they've ever thought about selling, if they're in the market to buy another house, what does that look like for them? And then try to get that appointment, try to get in and say, show me, maybe your house is appreciated more than 10% or whatever it has been, and allow them to kind of brag about their home. And then that's a really good way to get them, intrigued and interested without just, going to their house and being like, your house is worth this amount. I actually had somebody from Coldwell Banker show up at my parents' house and gave them the Zestimate, printed out literally the Zestimate of their house and gave it to them and said, if you want to get this for your house, let's chat. And I was like, oh my gosh, this poor guy, he has no idea. So I would say, don't print out the Zestimate, but it's a really good, just something that you're coming from contribution, you are providing value and saying, did you know that homes in this area have appreciated X amount? If you think that your home is maybe worth more than what this appreciation rate is, let's chat, let's have a conversation about it. And it doesn't even mean that they have to list with you in the next 30 days. They may come back to you in a year or two and be like, hey, at least there's that, belly to belly conversation. They have the face to the name, all of those things. And so when you repeatedly show up in their lives, you're going to be top of mind.
Hey, Christiana, you mentioned this Zestimate and how it's not necessarily the best tool. What would you use to give that, that data to the client, to your potential clients?
Yeah, so it really depends on the area from around here. But what I generally do is that if I'm going into a specific area, I will pick out just a zip code. I use the MLS. I use property sales tag, Vermont. I think Vermont's propertysales.net or something like that. There's a, tax to appraise to assess value ratio that I'm able to pull from there. And that's a really good tool for Vermonters. And just saying that in addition to just the MLS comps, this is what we're using to value homes. And this is also what appraisers are using to help value homes, listers cards, that sort of thing. So there's a ton of different ways to determine value on a property, but also without seeing the property and the updates and, getting that appointment where people are like, let me show you what we've done in the last year. Let's talk about this. People get really excited to talk about the renovations that they've done over COVID. So there's just a lot of different things that I do, but primarily if I'm just doing an overview, I'll just pull basic stats from the MLS and go from there.
Yeah, how is it possible that the Zestimate could be right when they never step foot in the house, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I always am very transparent, and because people are like, well, what do you think my house is worth? I said, I think it's a rookie mistake to give you a value based off of an outside view of what your house is, probably valued at. Yeah. And then they're like, oh, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. So then again, it's like, if you have time sometime this week, I would love to sit down and chat with you, show me all of the features that your home has, and then let's determine a value together.
Great. All right. So first core competency, we got to get back on track here. We have 6 of them to go through. So first competency is lead generate, capture, and convert to an appointment. So what does that mean? Do what we're talking about. Try to find consistent ways to get leads. Once you get that lead, reach out to them, make contact. Gary Keller calls this a contact sport, and it is a contact sport. Once you do make contact with them, capture their information. Always capture their information, okay? And then the ultimate goal is to get in front of them and convert to an appointment, okay? So a couple of strategies on capturing information. One of the things that I always talk about is never carry a business card. When you talk to somebody and they ask you, do you have a business card? I always say, I'm sorry, I don't have any business cards on me, but why don't you give me your phone number? And I actually hand them my phone, put your phone number into my phone. Set it up, they put their phone number right in, and you're capturing their information, okay? I happen to always carry business cards though, by the way. But it's a good strategy to get somebody's information. Christian, do you have any other ways that you do that?
I always just ask them what the best method of communication is. So a lot of people are like text, email, phone call, whatever that is. But then it's, you're directly asking them how can you communicate with them? And then they tell you, and it's like, great. I've had people be like, Facebook is the best way to get a hold of me. Awesome. I will friend you.
You will friend me on Facebook. Okay, second core competency is present to buyers and sellers and get agreements. So this is a biggie. This is where we actually apply our skills and get to sit in front of somebody and hopefully get them to sign on with you. There's all kinds of different strategies, but what I would do is I would practice this. I would go into Command and download the buyer presentation and the seller's presentation. Or if your team or your market center has a specific buyer presentation or seller's presentation that you are required to use, you should review that. I would first review it by myself. Again, you guys recognize that I like to talk to myself, especially in the car. Wouldn't recommend going through the buyer presentation or the seller's presentation in the car. But when I first got into public speaking, I would do it in front of a mirror. Going through the buyer's presentation or the seller's presentation into a mirror, it's very, very helpful. Then practice it with your family and friends. It's a really good way to learn how to do it. If you have a coach, go through it with your coach. If you have an accountability partner, go through it with your accountability partner, but do it with somebody and make sure you're doing it aloud. All right. I mean, what you want to do, the end result is we want a signed agreement, right? We want an exclusive right to represent them as a buyer or an exclusive right to market their property. Any questions on that? Do you guys all have, does everyone have a buyer presentation or a seller's presentation? Do you know where to find it? If you don't have one, it's simple to find in Command in KW Connect, all right? So this third competency, at least in my opinion, this is where the fun begins. Sam, you got a question, bud?
Yes, I do. I'm pretty new to real estate and I haven't even got my license yet. I'm just trying to figure out how to even use Command and
Okay.
where I can find that.
Yeah, we're going to go through a couple of things a little bit later. Josh, who's our tech trainer here in Vermont, is going to go through some basics of Command, how to log in, all that kind of stuff. As you're not a real estate agent yet, you probably haven't gotten even a login to Command yet, have you?
I actually have, yes.
Okay, great, fantastic. All right. So Josh is going to go through that a little later today, at least just the basics about how to put somebody into Command.
Thank you.
All right, we'll do that in probably about a half hour or so.
No problem.
All right. Hey, by the way, if anyone needs to take a break from me and Christiana just babbling on here, you can get up anytime and leave and, but make sure you come back. A bio break, that is. Brooke told me I had to tell people that they could take their own bio break. Just don't take us with you. I think people know that. So this is probably, in my opinion, the most enjoyable part of our job. And whether it's going to a house, a commercial listing, a piece of land, whatever it is, this is when you actually, this is where the rubber meets the road and we actually get to go and see houses, show houses, take buyers around. And not only is it great because you get to see someone's property, it also is great because you get to learn about your buyer or your seller or buyers coming to your property, and you get to understand what they want, what their needs are. You learn a lot about them so that you can actually narrow in your focus on what they're going to do, what they want in terms of their goals for their properties. So this is definitely one of our at least in my opinion, one of the most enjoyable parts of my job. I love showing land, by the way. I don't know why. I absolutely enjoy going out into the woods where we live. We have the opportunity to show these pieces of property that are, great, sometimes on the side of a mountain, and we get to go hike in there and find the lot lines and all that kind of stuff. It's one of my most enjoyable parts of my job, is to get out in the woods and show somebody a piece of land. I had that opportunity this weekend to show 2 different land listings, and it was great on Saturday morning to essentially go for a hike. And hopefully she buys something, so I'll be getting paid to go for a hike. Any questions on that? So we'll continue on.
Can I just add something to that?
Go ahead.
So for the people who are just getting into real estate, I think the most valuable thing you can also do is get inside houses, walk through a door. And if that means showing houses to yourself, sometimes you have to do that. I remember the team that I was on made us go through 10 houses a week, and you start to get to see everything. And then once somebody calls you and says, I'm looking for a house that has this feature, you can be like, oh, I actually just walked through a house and said that. So especially if you're new, getting through doors is going to be really valuable for you.
We have in our market, both in Burlington and in Stowe, we have what's called broker open houses. And I don't know if other areas do that, but going to broker open houses is just so valuable. Not only do you get to see houses like what Christiana's talking about, you get to experience more houses, but you also get to meet other real estate agents in the market, which is also super beneficial. But like Christiana said, I don't necessarily think of it as a feature of the house, but I love when someone calls me and says, have you been in this house? You know, I want to see this house. Have you been in that house? You know, and for us, it's a great thing to say, oh yeah, I've been there. I know that house. Let's go take a look at it. You know, and if they ask you questions about it, you have a specific answer for them, which I think most people appreciate. Michelle, what do you got?
So just a question on that. Do you focus on vacant houses, and do you feel like I kind of feel like if I'm going there alone and I don't have a potential client, and I know we always, have potential clients, but is that wasting the seller's time by going there just as an agent, just to go look at it, knowing that they have to leave the property? Or do you tell them they can be there, you just want to take a look at the property? How do you handle that with a seller when you want to set up a time to go see their property and you're not
That's
bringing
a great question. Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for bringing that up. So when I started, I would definitely focus on vacant houses. So you can just go and show, but then also if there was a property in an area that I really wanted to focus on, I would call that listing agent and say, is there a showing that I can piggyback? And that way the seller's already out of the house. You can let them know I'm just trying to get in the door, and just being open and communicating that when other real estate agents who are just starting out call me to get into my properties that I have listed, I'm like, absolutely, this is a great learning house. Here are some things you should know about the house, all of these things. So as long as you're being transparent with people, it's definitely, and just allowing them, being respectful of their time.
As a listing agent too, I got to be honest with you. I think it's so important to have people come through the house, right? I mean, the more people that have knowledge about the house, the better off we are. Is that really Jason Westcott on?
It is. It's me.
Are you gonna play some golf this summer?
Well, I don't know. I guess so. I guess that tournament that we play in typically is not going on this year. Alex is getting married.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
no. What was that tournament called?
I don't want to say. It's for breast cancer awareness, but the name of it's inappropriate. But I didn't name it, so.
There you go. Well, it's nice to see you. What do you got?
I'm just jumping on here real quick to support everybody in this, and obviously we have some of our agents in here, but reaching out when you guys are talking about open houses, reach out to your boards. I will tell you, I know Mike is very big on the board. I'm very big on the board in New Hampshire, Maine, and Mass. I'm a 4-state broker. What you guys need to understand is that if you're doing a lot of these realtor boards will have home tours. We do home tours here at Keller Williams Coastal and Lakes and Mountains here, but I do know that like Maine does them, KW Portland does them. I don't know if you guys do them in Vermont, but a lot of the agents will do tours. It's a great opportunity to see. There's a tour going on right now. Melissa Lesniak is doing one today in the Seacoast area of New Hampshire. It's 24 homes in 5 hours with free lunch. I mean, what agent doesn't like free lunch? So I agree with what everyone's saying here. Like, you get into a home and you can see the value. So if you walk into a house and somebody says, we're looking for 650, you can almost say, well, I've been in 20 homes last week and this is not a 650 home. Or this isn't a 650 home, it's a 750 home. You know what I mean? You could, it brings value knowing your numbers. You're going to hear Gary talk a lot on this. We're going from a speed-based market to a skill-based market, right? So anybody that was in the business in 2009 to 11 will tell you that was a very skill-based business. You had to know the market. You had to know your contracts. You had to know how to honestly handle people as far as bringing water, not gas, to some situations. And that's where we're going to. So getting into these homes as fast as you can. Look for open houses. You guys should be using your KW apps. Your KW apps will show you homes in the local area that have open houses. Your clients can see them. You can see them. There's a command app. There's a KW app. Use the app. I agree with Mike. I don't carry business cards either. We all carry our business card right here, as we talk about. Somebody needs my business card. You scan my QR reader and you have all my information, which if you Google any one of us now, we're all over the internet with Keller Williams. So, rock that and rock the apps and get into the open houses. Broker open houses are great. I agree with Mike there too. That is a super situation where you get to get better communication with agents, right? We're getting to the point now. I met Mike at a golf tournament 2 years ago, right? He's from Vermont. I'm from the seacoast of Portsmouth, right? Here we are now getting together. Now, as our worlds come together with the Realtor Association stuff, where I'm starting to see Mike, and now I see Mike on here today. I just text him. I'm like, Mike's doing Ignite. I got to give him crap. So, it's just,
It's so nice to see you.
yeah, knowing people and getting out there, right? Your world is bigger than you think. So get involved with your area, get involved with your boards, and use the apps. The apps are great for open houses and viewing properties.
Absolutely.
It's great to see you, Jason. I appreciate you coming on and weighing in. We'd love to hear more from you, and let's make sure Lindsay gets us another round of golf before the summer ends up here.
Absolutely, buddy.
And no tights, by the way, no tights and shorts. All right. All right. So the fourth competency is writing and negotiating contracts. This is definitely one of the biggest parts of our jobs, but it also creates the most amount of anxiety for people. As new agents, we probably have never done anything like this before. Even if you've done it for yourself, you probably sort of glazed over the whole process. You weren't probably really involved as much as you should have been when you were doing it. But like Jason just said, this is a time to bring water to it and not gas. We as agents need to be the calming force in all this. I've heard over the years people say that they actually got into arguments with their buyers or their sellers or whatever. I don't understand that. We work for them, and we should be following their guidance and their directions. But it's definitely where we as the agents have the most amount of impact on our clients. And I can tell hundreds of stories of how this has happened, but one of the KW's belief systems is win-win for everybody. I mean, that's what Gary Keller believes in. It's a win, has to be a win-win.
Win-win or no deal.
Win-win or no deal. That's right. I do want to give one quick story about how it's so important for us to understand where our fiduciary responsibility comes in to play. I had a listing, I had a buyer a couple weeks ago looking at a property that was listed at $850, and it'd been on the market about a little over a month, which was a long time in this market. And they asked if they could present an offer, and I told them, yeah, let's do that. And they said, we want to present $825 to a townhouse that was listed at $850. And I said, well, let me think about it. Let me do some research on the properties in that area, in those townhouses, and I'll get back to you and let you know, and then we can make the offer. So I came back to them and I told them that after basing my research, I thought that we should offer $725,000. And they thought, is that going to insult anybody? I said, the house has been on the market for 30 days in a seller's market. It's not going to insult them. Let's just see what happens and we'll go for it. So we offered $725,000. Now, mind you, they were going to offer $825,000. So it's a $100,000 difference. The house was listed at $850,000. We settled on $750,000. And we ended up saving them, or I ended up saving them $100,000 on the purchase of their home. Now, I could have probably just said, when they told me they wanted to offer $825,000, I know that would have been a slam dunk for the seller. The seller would have taken that almost immediately. They've been sitting on a property for over 30 days in the seller's market. It was obviously priced too high at $825,000, but we got the sale for $750,000. My fiduciary responsibility at that moment in time was squarely in my buyer's court. I never thought about my commission. I never even had any interest in what I was doing for myself in that deal. I was concerned about them and them getting that property. And we closed last Friday at $750,000. So we saved them $100,000. It's really, really something that we need to do to make sure that where our fiduciary responsibilities Why? They're not in our own pocket. They're in the pocket of our agent. Yes, Michelle.
Those are the things that are going to make you a great agent. Those are the things that are going to make you stand out. You know, sometimes, you know, working up in the Enosburg area, like I have done more work on this $130,000 10-acre piece of land with a trailer on it than I have done for anything else I have worked on to date. But those are the things that make you stand out to your client. Those are the things that are going to get you those referrals and going to get your name out there because you did your due diligence to them. You didn't worry about lining your own pockets. You worried about taking care of your client. And that's the key.
Michelle, when you're working on a small piece of land like that with a trailer on it, we have a lot of those in Vermont. Most important thing I always tell people is you have no idea who they know. You have no idea who their uncle is. You have no idea who their contacts are. And if we do a good job for them, they're going to tell people. If you do a bad job for them, they're going to tell 100 people.
Right.
So I always tell new agents, consider the $25,000 piece of land that you're going to sell the same as the $1 million property you're going to sell, and treat them exactly the same. And you really need to do that because you never know where your next referral is going to come from.
Absolutely.
Okay, coordinating a sale to closing is the next core competency. That's the 5th core competency. Following through with the deal. Bulletproof your transactions. Keep in mind that not every single deal that you have goes to close. Not all of them come to fruition. As a matter of fact, there's a percentage of them that will actually fall apart from when you have a signed deal until the closing date. They don't always make it across the finish line. But bulletproof your transaction. What does that mean when I say bulletproof your transaction? Make sure every I is dotted and every T is crossed. Do your job. Bill Belichick, we're all New England Patriots fans, right? Yep. Don't even wait for that answer. Yes, we are all New England Patriots fans. Bill Belichick's biggest thing is do your job. And what he means by that is that if everybody on the field does their job, we're going to win. We're going to cross the finish line. And it's the same exact thing here. As long as you're doing your job, you're going to cross the finish line with it. It's another reason why I tell people, especially as new agents, if you have a contract, if you sign a contract, don't count the commission. That's the last thing you should do. It's hard to do it too, by the way. It's hard not to count the commission. You know, you make a deal, especially like that deal I was just talking about. It's so hard not to go to and say, what was the percentage I'm getting on that? Quickly figure it out. I can make that down payment on my, on the new BMW that I want. Never ever do that. Stay away from that. Keep from that temptation, because you never know that it's going to come across the finish line. You never know that it's going to get to the closing table. So don't jump ahead. That leads me to our last competency. I keep going to the wrong screen here. The 6th competency is manage the money. So not only does that mean manage the money for your clients, it also means manage your own money. I think that we need to be in a place that we are in control of our own finances, because if you are selling a $1 million house and you found out that your agent owed $100,000 to the IRS for last year's taxes, would you want to trust the sale of your $1 million property to an agent that can't manage their own money? So make sure that you're managing your own money so that you have the confidence and the ability to manage your clients, because we are essentially managing their money. If we're selling a property, we are managing their money, right? So as I said, make sure that when you get a paycheck, when you get your first payday, don't take that whole paycheck and put it down on that new BMW you want. What you need to do is take a percentage of that, and I would ask you to speak to your accountant to find out what percentage that is. But the baseline is about 30%. Take 30% of that first paycheck that you get and put it into a separate bank account that you save, and that you take that bank account and empty it out every quarter and send it to the IRS. check with your accountant, consult with your accountant. Let them know that you're a new real estate agent and that you're about to start getting your first commission check and how you should be handling it. I'm pretty confident they're going to tell you to set up two accounts, one a checking account and one a savings account. And all of your money that comes through your commissions should go into the checking account that's set up for your business. And 30% of that should be dropped into a savings account that should get paid to the IRS and to the state, by the way. It should be split between the two. And your accountant will help you figure out those numbers. Don't make the mistake that so many realtors make, that they literally take their first paycheck and go out and buy that fancy car or whatever it is. There is a course, by the way, that KW offers, and it's called Profitability Agent Finances, or Agent Financials, I think it's called. Profitability Agent Financials. So if you see that class as a new agent, I would highly recommend it. It will definitely help you, and consult with your agent, with your accountant. Christiana, have any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I think that's just so important. And to Ashley's point earlier is that, my story was also like, I grew up with nothing, and the scarcity mindset of, I was just terrified of money. And so I'm not even kidding, the first 2 years, I literally was just like, I didn't look at my money. I didn't see it. It was coming in, and that's all, my bills were paid, and that's it. That is quite literally the worst thing you can do. But it's really just, creating a business, because this is a business. You have to treat it like a business, and every dime that comes into your business is not profit to you. So, and it's just live off of as little money as absolute possible. I know Gary Keller goes on about, living off of, 20%, 30%, 40%, whatever that looks like for you, and making sure that, you are just living within your means. It's really easy to, like what Mike said, count the commission before it comes in. But there are so many unknown variables that happen even when you do bulletproof your transactions. It's so easy to just kind of look at what's coming in for the month. What did I come in last month? And you really need to just save everything.
Yeah, the 30% or whatever it may be, for your state is important, like Mike was saying. And also another thing to keep in mind is don't spend money you don't have, right? So if you have a $1 million listing and it's under contract, and then, prior it terminates for some reason, and you in your head have already spent money, you're in a hard spot, right?
Yep.
So Jason, did you just text Lindsay and say Hickey's on? Because I just admitted Tim Lindsay, so I'm not sure this is going to become.
Yeah, this might be a comedy show.
So anyways, let's talk about mindset. And Tim Lindsay, actually, I believe, Tim, you ran last week's session, and you talked a little bit about the 6 personal perspectives. And I think one of them was mindset. Lindsay, what do you got for us? You are here, right? Or is Zoe using your login? Oh, wait, he's back in the waiting room. Anyways, okay, so Tim Lindsay, if he comes in, we'll have him talk about 6. Oh, there he is. Lindsay, what do you got for the 6 personal perspectives on your mindset? Tell us about it.
Wow, I was just jumping in to see your beautiful face.
I know, but Tim and I go way back. We actually go back to college days.
We're not going to discuss the arrests. All right, excellent. Good talk though. Yep. Yeah, Hickey and I were at college back when the desks and us were made of wood. Good old days. Did all of our essays with eagle quills. Well, mindset is 4,000% of all the things, right? I think it was Henry Ford. Whether you think you're right or you think you're wrong, you're right. So in the grand scheme of things, are you owning the most difficult real estate to own is the 5.5 inches between your ears. And I always ask this, so I'll ask this. Somebody can open up their mic and answer. Who do you spend the most time with every day? Yourself, correct. So, and who do you have some of the worst conversations with?
Same person.
Yeah, we will have internal dialogues like Macbeth drunk on the balcony, right? We will have the worst dialogues with ourselves. And then if you had a transcript of that, if you had somebody following you around, writing down every one of your internal conversations with you, if you read that, you'd be like, oh, I would never say that to somebody else. Yet we'll have that conversation with us, right? So you're in the right place insofar as you're in a room full of people on a rainy Tuesday morning. Beautiful out, by the way. At least here it is. I know we have 6 states, but it's raining in Portsmouth. If we can't get right with ourselves and have positive internal conversations about setting our day up for success, mindset's huge. Because if we can't, we're our own solution and our own obstacle, right? And if we are going to start with negativity and decide there's too many agents, I don't know if you guys have discussed this already, Hickey, but there's so many agents. Why would they work with me, right? And we've got to make sure that we have an answer for that. And we have value that we deliver, and every one of you delivers value. Yet if nobody's experiencing that, that's always our fault, right? We were talking about that this morning. We have a quick start that we do at our market center every morning. And we were talking about if your outward conversation to the civilians is underwhelming, if you feel it's underwhelming, then that means they're not even hearing it, right? And I had one of our great agents up in the Lakes region said to me last year, I've stolen this quote and I will footnote her. She said, I'm currently overwhelmed by the underwhelm. So if you have a whiteboard behind you and it looks like a polar bear in a snowstorm, let's change that. If you are going to lie to your CPA in April and say that your phone is a business expense, but all you're doing is Hinge, Bumble, and Candy Crush, I mean, I appreciate that. Everybody wants a partner, but let's make sure we're using this to talk to the humans. And if you're just escaping college and you're a freshman or a sophomore in real estate and you're like, yeah, but Tim, none of my friends talk on the phone. Everybody just direct messages and text. Change that. You have to be the agent of change. You have to start having verbal conversations, and we have to start connecting with our people on a regular basis. If you haven't, has anybody read the book from Michael Mayer, M-A-H-E-R? It's not John's dad. They don't play the guitar. Michael Mayer, he's a K-dubber. It's called The Seven Levels of Communication. Who's read this book?
I
The
have.
mantra in this book, I'll pick on Karen. The mantra in this book is today somewhere in my city, someone's looking for help and it's my job to find them. And if you're not putting yourself into enough conversations to have business come up where you can actually have that conversation about service, it's not about calling your aunt and being like, hey, Aunt Stacy, you're going to sell your house today? No, cool. Talk to you never. Like that's, I mean, you could do that. It's going to be a rough winter. Are we calling and checking in with our people? Are we just having honest conversations? And when business comes up, when you ask them about Liberty Mutual and they're like, it's actually pretty terrible. I'm sorry to hear that. Right now, what do I know? Maybe they're in line for a job change, a career change, right? Or as John Keller called it last week at Mega Camp, a calling. Because this is because this can feel like brain damage, but we can get out of our own way and make it less brain damagey. Not really a word, but write it down anyway. There'll be a quiz later. We're overthinking it and we're
Lindsay,
underdoing
I love
it
you,
every
man.
day.
I love you. I love your perspective. One of the things you said was the conversation you have with yourself and the things that you have with yourself. Adam Hergenrother, our OP here in Vermont, he says, take one day and write everything down that you say to yourself in your internal conversation. Write that down and take a look at it at the end of the day. And he says, I would guarantee you that you would not want to hang around with that person.
Yeah.
That would be someone that you would not want to spend any time with.
And
So
you would
change
never
that
say that to
mindset,
somebody
right?
you love. Right. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I love you, man. I love you coming on. I appreciate it. I appreciate your mindset thoughts. It's always good to see you.
Thanks, bud.
You know, one of the things that a lot of people don't know about Tim and I, but we both went to college to be priests. And I know Tim sometimes gets embarrassed when I bring this up, but for me,
Well, it's about, I don't know what you're about to bring up about us studying to be priests, but yeah. Now I'm horrified. Here we go. Buckle up, kids.
it's vocation, right? I mean, this is a vocation.
Oh yeah.
You know, we had a calling when we were young men. We thought that we wanted to be priests, and we ended up not doing that because we wanted to get married and have families and all those kind of things. But for us, we always talked about it as a vocation, and it was a calling for us. This, in my mind, is a vocation. Being a realtor, and I think that Ashley Moon said it a little earlier. Ashley said that it's a 7-day-a-week job, and you know, when you're on call 7 days a week, and yes, you can't take Labor Day off. When you're on call 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and someone calls you on a Sunday and says, hey, can you show me this property? The answer is yes, this is a vocation. It is a vocation and we're dedicated to it. And you should change your mindset. You want to be a positive, enthusiastic, high energy person and have it rooted in the belief that you're going to do the best job you possibly can. On top of that, you want to make sure that you're coming from a place of contribution. And we've talked about that, right? Come from a place of contribution. Christiana, did you want to add something? I know you do.
Well, no, I mean, I think that's just so important. It's coming from a place from contribution always. And it doesn't even need to necessarily, you don't need to have facts like written on a, white card for you in front of you. It can just be like, how are you? Those care calls. And that is contributing something positive to somebody's life.
All right, let's talk about some realities of being a real estate agent. How long on average does it take for a buyer or a seller to get a signed contract? What's the average length of time that takes? Who knows it? Talking about coming from a place of contribution. What do we got? Anybody? Somebody's got to answer this, and not the same people over and over and over. I can ask Christiana. I know Christiana knows.
In the chat, we've got 3 months, but it depends from Miriam. 30 to 90 days from Melissa.
Right. Yeah, I would say it's probably anywhere from 1 to 60 days. Could it take 90 days? Yes, I hope it doesn't take 90 days. In a regular market, you're probably looking, depending on what's happening, between 45 and 60 days. But I would be planning out 60 days. All right.
Yep.
So how long does it take from a transaction? How long does it take for a transaction to close and for you to get paid? Depends on your market center, I guess, right?
About 60 days, 90 days.
Yeah, something about that. Josh, how long does it take for us?
Are you talking contract to close or from when our office receives it?
Contract to close and contract to getting your check.
I would assume anywhere from probably 45 to 60 days.
So I guess the question is how long can you go without collecting a paycheck? How many days can you go without collecting a paycheck? That's a big question for us. And I know I took a page out of my friend Tim Lindsay's, and I have a calendar here, a block calendar, and it's 90 days out. I have today's date and 90 days from now. So
today's Monday, December 5th, Hick.
What's
Today's
that,
Monday,
Tim?
December 5th.
Today's Monday, December 5th. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And what does that mean?
So if you guys are advantageous and you finish class today and Hickey's filled you with 3 scoops of piss and vinegar, you're like, I'm going to go make some phone calls. Awesome. Go do B. You get your face to a kitchen table in the next 24 hours, 48 hours, and you sign that person. What we're talking about, the time frame is ultimately it's about 90 days from kitchen table to your GCI check. And what do we mean by that? And I know it's been different. I know that we just had 2 years of, I was closing stuff yesterday with cash and unicorns. Awesome. Which the environment's changing, right? So if I get to a kitchen table in the next couple of days, I'm looking at about December 7th, right? I'm looking at about December 7th. So the question to ask yourself as we run through our vital signs as coaches with you guys, one of the categories we want to know is, what do you have for pendings? What do you have for upcoming closings? And if you've got 3 deals closing, I want to know, we always want to know when the last one closes, because the gap between that closing date that you tell me today, you have something closing October 3rd, between October 3rd and December 5th is the poverty gap. And if you don't like the word poverty, well, because broke is a mindset, poverty is an experience, right? So if you don't want that huge gap of like, I'm not getting paid, everyone came here. Ultimately, you probably left another professional environment to have more access to more money because you're in charge of your opportunities. So if the rest of your afternoon looks like I'm going to watch Price is Right because I recorded it, and then I'm going to talk to my cat, then we're going to make some ramen, then I'm going to take a nap, and then it's tomorrow. Well, I can guarantee you in 90 days, on December 5th, you won't be at a closing table. Gary says it all the time. Show me your schedule. I'll show you your future. So what's your plan for success? And that's always plan on 90 days out. We want to plan for the worst, hope for the best. Maybe it's going to close sooner than that. As we grow into a new market, it's going to get closer to 90 days again. It's 45 days to track down your buyer and get your listing ready to go. And then once somebody goes under contract, traditional lending is about 45 days, December 5th. And if that sounds like, wow, that sucks, it does if we don't get to work yesterday.
But what can we do, right? It can't be stressed enough how important it is to lead generate every day, to build your database, to communicate with people every single day about real estate. You should have at least 5 purposeful conversations every single day about real estate. You should commit to go on a lot of appointments. Like Christiana said, call those agents that have listings and ask them if you can piggyback onto a showing, go see houses, go see properties, get into them, and practice your conversations every single day to get better. If it's with an accountability partner, if it's with a coach, if it's with your scripting practice, if your team has scripting practice, if your market center has scripting practice, if you do it like me and do it in your car by yourself, whatever you do, do the scripts, get used to them. And for me, it works alone in my car. For you, you might need somebody to do it face-to-face. Do it in the mirror. Remember, I think last Thursday, Tim, I think was your class. And there's a quote that you guys talked about last week. Anyone can do it. Not everybody will, right? And that's the biggest thing. Everybody can do this. I think Denny Grimes, who's a MAPS coach for KW and teaches Bold, he taught it this past year here in our market center in January. He said, you can't fail at real estate. It's impossible to fail at real estate. You can only quit real estate. You can't fail it. And what does that mean? What does it mean for you that when I say that? Anybody?
You get out of it what you put in.
When you stop trying, you will inevitably no longer produce.
That's right. You're quitting, right, Ashley?
Well, it's a great quote too. If you're tired of starting over, stop quitting, right? Our entire company, we're closing in on 40 years of failing forward.
Mike, we've got 2 good questions in the chat.
All right, let's hear them.
We've got, what is the best time to call people during the week and the weekend? And the second is, what's the best day and best time for door knocking?
Great questions. I love it. That's really good. I hope that they're going out and doing them, right? I really do. I hope they're going out and doing them. So there's all kinds of different studies on this, and everybody has different times. Our largest team here in our office does cold calling between 9 and noon in the morning, almost every single morning. I've also heard studies that the best time to connect with people is Friday afternoon. That's also a great time that I've heard. We send our newsletter out Thursday afternoon, so they get it Thursday evening, so that they get it in their inbox Friday for when they're planning. Christiana, you got any? When do you reach out?
No, so I think there's actually I forget who did it. I want to say Harvard did this study, and it was Tuesday or Wednesday mornings, 8 to 10 a.m. was the best time to call people. And there's this whole scientific study about it. And then as far as door knocking goes, I usually will go either on the weekends or after work when people know, when I know that people are there. And if I do miss them, I follow it up with either a phone call and or usually both a handwritten thank you note. So again, it's all about, if you get a missed opportunity, sometimes you get people in a weird time or they don't want to talk or, whatever it is, follow up, make sure you are following up and just saying, thank you for your time. Even if it was a no. I did this with a lot of the mentees that I worked with, and it works really, really well. And a lot of times they end up reaching back out. So I'll have to find out that study because it was really insightful as to when the best time to contact people was, but it was Tuesday and Wednesday morning were one of the better times to call people.
Christiana nailed that. The study, Christiana, was it's 8 to 10 in the morning, 4 to 6 in the afternoon. Because you're getting people before they go into the office and get their face kicked in. And then you're getting them while they're escaping the office that they hate. I mean, said with love. Most of our friends in corporate environments are like, get me out of here, right?
Yeah.
So you call your friend Stacy at 4:15 and she's like, oh, it's my mom. I gotta go. It's you, but you're their escape hatch, right? So before they get into the office and as they're starting to escape the office, historically is great. And I know this for sure, guys, door knocking, making your phone calls, whatever it is, the best time is when you're going to commit to do it consistently, incessantly. Right? The science doesn't matter if you don't show up. Yeah, the science doesn't matter if you don't show up.
Yeah. Yep, that's right. I mean, that's a key one, Tim, right? Got to do it. So this is what this next quote is about. I'd really love a volunteer to read this. Who's out there that has not participated, that wants to participate? Crystal, why don't you read the quote for us? Love it. Oh, you gotta turn up your microphone. We can't hear you.
Oh,
There you are.
can you hear me?
And now,
All right. To achieve your highest potential, these 6 core competencies must be done consistently and done well.
so that's what Tim was just talking about. You have to consistently do it, right? What do you do, Crystal, every day out of these core competencies? Do you do any of these yet? How long are you in real estate?
I started in property management about 8 years ago, and then I got my license about a year ago, and I started working at the front desk at Keller Williams in Salem, New Hampshire. I just started being an active agent since July. I haven't been very consistent with generating leads. I've done a couple open houses. I also work for my husband part-time. He owns an auto repair shop, and I also teach yoga on the side. So I'm kind of in a bunch of different things. So I haven't been very consistent with my real estate goals, but I'm trying.
I'm sorry, Crystal, you
Trying
froze.
to get on track.
Oh, there you go. All right,
Oh,
great.
no.
You're back. You froze for a second there.
Sorry, I don't know what you caught, but I haven't been very consistent with my real estate goals, but I'm looking to start now.
I think one of the most impactful thing that Tim just said, amongst all the things Tim said, was that you just have to do it. It doesn't matter what time you're doing it. It doesn't matter, you know, what the science says. The most important thing is that you are reaching out, that you're having those 5 conversations, and that you're making them purposeful, and that you're coming from a place of contribution. It's huge.
And I would say that also, like, again, work to your strengths. I know that for me personally, my most productive times during the day are 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. I know that people generally are not going to call me, and I know that I can just really zone out and get all of the prospecting done during those times. And if you just find out when your most productive hours of the day are and do the activities, and that is the secret sauce, is just showing up for you and for your business. So I would say that make sure that, you know, play with your areas, play with different times of the day, especially if you are, you know, just kind of starting out, or even if you're seasoned. You know, everyone, especially in the Northeast, we have different seasons too. So how you work in the summer might be different than how you work in the winter also. But whatever you do, just make sure you're consistent. Consistency over intensity wins every single time. And figure out just what works best for you, because when you're fired up and when you are going to be most, like when your brain is working, that's when you're going to get the most results.
I love it when it changes the seasons, because we get to, especially when we go from, you know, the winter into the spring, we get to, and the clock time changes, we get to show houses after 4 o'clock in the afternoon because you can see the outsides of them.
And we also just got something from Ashley saying that her most productive hours during the night are at the night. And that's really a good way to do it also, because a lot of times we spend so much time just trying to figure out who to call. But like, if you know you're not going to make phone calls at 9 o'clock at night, make a list for yourself. So all you have to do is set, you know, short little power hours. So throughout the day, I have time blocked power hours where I take 30 minutes of, you know, a couple times during the day, like 2 or 3 times a day, where all I do is make phone calls. And I have set those up for myself between 6 and 9 p.m. the night before. So that way I am ready to roll. You're setting yourself up for success, and you will never be mad at yourself for doing that.
Very cool. PTT, it's called Plan Tomorrow Today. PTT,
Yes.
Plan Tomorrow Today. Make those lists actually the night before.
Yes.
Anybody, what do you got for ahas out of all the things, out of the 6 core competencies that we've gone through? What do we have? Anybody's ahas? Have we learned anything today? Or did we just waste the last 2 hours of our lives?
I do like the quote, the quote, the overwhelmed with the underwhelm. And I think I'm kind of getting over that slump of whenever you first start, you have a million things to do and you don't know where to start. You're starting with a blank slate and just starting that messy action. Like I was saying earlier, like as a new agent, we're not supposed to know what to do. And we're not trying to make cookie cutter agents. We have to figure out what works best for us, and just starting somewhere, even if it doesn't work out for you, I think is just we got to start somewhere. That's it.
Yes, and remember, Ashley, one of the things that we talked about too was you were talking about that flyer that you wanted to send out, and it took you 2 weeks to build the thing. Remember that the obstacle to profit is perfection, and don't get caught up in it. It is messy, and if you don't know the answer, say I don't know the answer, but I'll get it for you. So don't worry about it. Just get going. Anyone else? Any other ahas? Josh, anybody in the comments? We've been sitting on any ahas from today's conversation. There's been lots of stuff that we've talked about.
I like the idea that nobody fails real estate, like you quit real estate, because I'm so not quitting, but I'm always afraid of failing because like things are not moving. So now I kind of feel better. So even if they're not moving, I'm not failing because I'm not gonna quit. So it's gonna happen.
Keep going. That's right. Continue to go.
Fail forward. And if anything, you're going to find out what doesn't work. But either way, you figured something out. So there's so much power in that. And there's so much opportunity in figuring out what works for you and what works best for you. And what works best for me is not going to work best for you. And that's the beautiful thing about being a real estate agent, is that we can work to our strengths, be authentic to who we are, and be successful. And no other position or profession can you be exactly who you are and be successful.
Any other ahas before we move on to the next slide? Anybody else? Josh, we got nothing in the chat, huh? No one's dropping ahas in the chat. All right.
We just got one come in. Says, my aha, be positive and don't overthink. Be productive, make a personal schedule, and include power hours. That was from Valerie.
Sweet. Okay. Functionary versus fiduciary. We went over this a little bit, how I told that story about how I saved that couple $100,000 on their townhouse in Stowe. And I think that was a key way to look at the difference between a fiduciary and a functionary, right? So what is the difference between a fiduciary and a functionary? A functionary is someone that just goes through the motions, right? If I was a functionary, what would I have done in that particular case? How would I have handled that transaction when they came to me and said, we'd like to make an offer of $825,000? What would the functionary have done?
I would have made that offer.
Just taken right then, right, Michael?
Right. Yeah. I think just the term agent sort of defines what we do. You're an agent for the client, the buyer, the seller. You're not the salesperson. You're there to represent their interests.
That's right. That's a great way to look at it. An agent is somebody that's representing them. Yeah. We're not just a salesperson, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
What does a salesperson do? Just take orders, right? Just takes orders.
Yeah, and sell something for as high as they can to make the most profit. The scenario you gave us, you found that through your research, you found out that being their agent, you could get a lower price for them.
There's a huge difference between being a good agent and being an agent, right? Or being a great agent and just being a good agent. And in my opinion, having that fiduciary responsibility and recognizing where our fiduciary responsibility lies is the difference between being a great agent and being a good agent. And I really do believe that those that focus on being the fiduciary and understanding that responsibility, it'll pay dividends in the end, not only for your client, but for yourself through referrals and, recommendations, comments online, all that kind of stuff. It'll definitely pay dividends in the end if we're taking their fiduciary responsibility in mind when we're doing transactions. And it's all about building relationships too. I think it's huge. This is a big Gary Keller, by the way. You know, being a functionary as opposed to a fiduciary is huge for him. He actually focuses on this a lot in his book. So be the fiduciary. Let's see here. Let's move on because we're kind of behind here. So being a fiduciary, we're going to try to, let me just see if I can do the success system. That's where we're going to go next, because I do want to jump off here pretty soon. And I want you all to take the next half hour and go through, we only have until 11:30, right?
Correct.
What I'd like to do is ask everybody to take about 15 to 20 minutes and think about a person that you could reach out to right now, that you could call and have a conversation with, and essentially announce that you're a new real estate agent. I'd love to do this process if we can actually do this and then come back in 15, 20 minutes and report back on it. So what I'd like everybody to do is actually maybe make a short list of 5 people that you can reach out to. Let's make a short list of 5 people that you can reach out to, just in case the first person isn't there, and then you have nothing to do for the next 15 minutes. Make a phone call to 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, whatever you can fit into that 15-minute time period. And it is 11:03 right now. I'd love to be able to come back at 11:20, and I'd like to hear some reports back about conversations that you've had with people. And this is literally about picking up the phone, and all I want you to do is introduce yourself and tell them that you've become a new agent, right? So the conversation will go something like this. Christiana, if you'd play along with me. Ring, ring.
Yep. Hello.
Hey, Christiana, it's Mike Hickey with Keller Williams and the Hickey Foster Real Estate Team. I'm calling to just check in with you and see how you've been.
Oh, I'm good. The kids are off to school again, so that frees up a little bit of my time. How are things going over there? I see the whole team is busy. I also got
Yes.
your newsletter. Thanks for sending that along.
Did you get my newsletter?
I got your newsletter.
And can you believe that the hogs in Vermont don't like the Ben and Jerry's mint chocolate chip ice cream?
No, I can't believe that at all. But very valuable information that I
That
needed.
was in our trivia question. You probably didn't read the trivia question.
I didn't, sorry.
So the kids are good? Everybody's off to
Kids are
school?
good. Everyone is off to school. My oldest is a senior this year. Can you believe it?
That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And how's your new job? I heard you took a new job this past year.
My new job is going very well. I'm really excited to dive deep into it. And we've had a lot of off days since the kids have been in and out of school, and sick days and that sort of thing. So that's great.
Yeah. And how are things going with, I know that you have this hobby of hiking. How is that going?
Hiking it's been a really good year for hiking. So I've managed to, get to a couple peaks this year, which was really my goal. I wanted to do 10 miles every single week, but didn't quite hit that. Get some fall hiking in coming up.
10 miles. That's a pretty lofty goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. Hey, Christiana, I know that you know that I'm a real estate agent, and if you ever have any need for real estate, any help at all, please feel free to reach out to me, and maybe you might know of somebody that might need a real estate agent. Do you know of anybody that'd be interested in buying or selling or investing in real estate?
Absolutely. Actually, since my oldest is a senior now, we might be looking to downsize. So would love to know kind of what the market's doing, and maybe we can set a time to chat and go about that. I sing your praises all the time.
I appreciate that very much. What day next week would work for you? I'm free on Thursday and Friday morning for coffee. Would that work?
That works great for me. Friday morning.
Friday morning. Let's meet at Black Cap and Stowe. Is that okay?
Beautiful. Looking forward to it.
I'll send you an email to follow up.
Sounds great.
So it's as simple as that. Christiana does not have an 18-year-old. She's too young to have an 18-year-old.
I do not.
But I
But I do
appreciate the
hike.
fact that you went along with it.
Well,
So
you know, and
just,
I was also trying to give you a bone there where you could have been like, oh, you know, what are your plans? What are their plans for college? That sort of thing. So opening up the conversation a little bit more and asking those questions that could potentially lead to an appointment.
so let's do this. Let's all, I don't want you to jump off. I want you to keep it going, keep the Zoom open. But what I'd like you to do is take the next 15 minutes, write down 5 people that you can make phone calls to, and then jump on the calls. And I'd love to hear when you come back at 11:20 how those calls went. All right? Everybody good? Thumbs up? Yes, we'll all do this. Let's see it. We'll see you back at 11:20. All right, folks, it's 11:20. If you're still on calls, obviously I don't want you to chime in, but I'd love to hear some successes. Anyone reach anybody? Anyone make a successful phone call? Have a good conversation? I see some people are still on the calls. What do we have? What do we got going on? Go ahead, Christina.
So I had some calls to make. I apologize. I didn't actually just randomly reach out to somebody, but I had a buyer who originally reached out to me. I happened to get him from the KW website, which was cool. And he wanted to buy a lot of land. So I've been working with him, signed him as a buyer. And then he, I wouldn't say ghosted me, but he got quieter. And you know, I had texted him a couple times, and then today I decided it was time for a phone call. And so he picked up right away, was very friendly, said that his parents were ill and that they've been talking and decided not to buy land. His wife and daughter would rather have a home to move right into, not to build something. And it just had a very nice conversation. They want to wait till the spring, you know, and he gave me details and said, you know, he was interested. If I saw anything, he was happy to hear about it. So it was just overall very nice conversation. The kind of overall lesson for me and for everyone being, just because they're not responding to your texts doesn't mean they're not, you know, interested in hearing from you. So
Great.
that's sort of the lesson of the day for me anyway.
Fantastic. Love it. What are you doing with the notes that you are taking down? Where are you putting them?
So I went, I had a few minutes
One of these?
and I put them on a command actually. What do you have there? What's that?
Piece of white paper.
White paper. Yeah, actually, so I've learned paper is my enemy because I tend to put things here and there and everywhere. So I have learned over time to use my MacBook Notes or command or all of the above sort of. Yes, I did take notes on everything, and I then in my notebook here, and then I uploaded them to command to save them.
Great.
And,
Karen,
now
you have your hand up. What are you?
So I knew that I couldn't call anyone because it's usually a 30-minute conversation. But I reached out to someone that had posted something in a group on Facebook. He's doing a walk in every single area of Boston, a 2-mile walk. And it's for different charities like Make-A-Wish, Stride for Stride. And he's going to be on the news as well. So he asked if anyone would like to join him, and I was the only one that reached out. So I'm going to be walking with him tomorrow morning for this 2-hour walk that's near where I live in East Boston. And I just think it's great because now I'm getting to meet somebody new, and I might meet other people this way and, you know, build some relationships.
That's awesome. I think the idea of getting uncomfortable with doing things is where the magic lies in real estate. You know, we have to get outside our comfort zone, join those Facebook groups, create those Facebook groups. If you have a hobby that you like and you don't see a Facebook group in there that you can join, create a Facebook group and communicate with people doing things that you like. Ashley.
So earlier when I was saying that I kind of go the millennial route of messaging, and you kind of said that that's a good idea. I think I'm going to lean a little more into that because I mean, just now over social media text, I reached out to about 11 people. 4 of them have replied, and then I also posted a story with to vote basically if you are willing to have a conversation, if you're looking to buy or sell now, or even 3 years from now, like let's just have a chat. And so I'm now having 3 different conversations with people that could possibly be referrals or, you know, in town for educational purposes, even for me or for them, like use me as a resource, ask me questions because so, I mean, there's many things going on right now, but I also a little PSA, don't be afraid of texting people. Social media is very powerful. You can reach a large amount of people with one post. And I mean, I'm very new, but it's working and it's gone well so far. So I'll continue these conversations throughout the day, and at least it kind of lit the fire for my day. So now I know what I'll be doing today.
I absolutely love it. I know my good friend Tim Lindsay said pick up the phone and call, but I love communicate where people are. That's what you want to do. Communicate where people are to reach them. Anyone else? Anybody else at all? No? Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand it over to Josh. Josh is going to give us a little demonstration on, excuse me, phone ringing, on how to add things into Command, add people in, where you should be putting your notes, all that kind of stuff. Mr. Berra, Josh, you want to share your screen and help us do that?
Yeah, sure can. Hey, Mike, can you enable participant screen sharing?
Hang on one
What
second.
I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you guys, if you haven't been exposed to this yet, I hope you have. It's kind of the real basic when you have your contacts, how to put them in Command.
You should
Command,
be able to share your screen now, Josh.
perfect. So Command, if you're not aware, it's the CRM that is a part of KW's tool set to give you a successful business. So let me just share this. Let me know if you're seeing what I'm seeing.
You got it.
Okay, so this is just our demo Market Center account just for testing purposes here. So when you log in, this is the main screen if you're not aware of what Command is. And this is how it'll pop up. There's this neat little trick. You click this little red KW up here and it'll tell you what these are. So when you have your contacts list, your email, your phone numbers, or in both, or however you can contact people, this is where you're going to build your database. You click on this little picture frame contacts here, and it's pretty straightforward. And there's a lot of stuff that you can add, and it's really how kind of detail driven you want your database to appear. I myself love all the details. Some people that's not as important to. So this is what it will look like on your main screen. This here is all of our agents. We use this to keep touch with our agents in the Market Center. So there's two ways you can import a CSV file, which is pretty straightforward. You can download a blank template here, and you basically just plug and play the each row that this Excel file gives you. But if you only have 1, 2, or 3 agents, the quicker way would probably be just go to add contact here. And let's just call this test contact. So this will come out first name, last name. You have an add relationship button here. So if you have, a married couple or even brothers, sisters, any family, friends, you can actually like attach another contact to this contact. So they're kind of synchronized as you build your database out. So your email here, test@gmail.com. You can put their primary phone number, which in this case, I'll just throw some random number on there. And so if this is all you wanted to do, you have your basic 2 ways to contact this person. You would just click create right here on the bottom. You scroll down a bit and you'll see this option. Or if you're more like me, you can tag people with all sorts of things for filtering purposes. So for me, I'm just going to say, I don't know, this is a buyer contact. You can add birthdays. You can add secondary levels. If they have 2 or 3 emails or phone numbers, you can add other additional ways to contact them. You can put their home address in here to keep for, the holidays, right? You want to send, or birthdays, you want to send personal cards, open house invitations, all that sorts of stuff. Facebook profiles for the millennials using, more social media driven items. Where did it go? Where'd my
Additional contact information.
Yep, there it is. And then there's all these other add buttons too, so you can always add more. So there's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. They have all sorts of stuff. They still have Google Plus on here. Yeah, so it's very detailed if you choose to make it that way. Birthdays are important, home anniversaries, right? Hey, my buyer bought their house a year ago today. I'm going to put that in here, right? The day they buy their home, we close. And then every year, hey, it's been a year since you've bought your home. How are things going? Here's a couple of things to look for, right? After a year, after 2 years, 5 years, how's the roof looking? How are your repairs? All that kind of stuff. And then you can even add custom sections down here. So once you have all your stuff and all your information, how you want to see it, simply click on create. And then you can go up to this search bar if you have, a large database, which we have a lot of people in here. You just start typing the person's name out. In this case, it would be test contact, and it will kind of auto-populate, and there's all the information. And if you ever wanted to edit, very simple, click on that contact. There's a little pencil marker here, and you can change any of that information that we were looking at prior. So it's very simple. Is there any questions that I can answer for adding a contact?
Has everyone experienced Command yet? Has anyone not experienced? I guess we should go that way. Thank you, Rebecca. Has anyone not experienced Command? Everyone's gotten logged in and knows how to do the basics. Sort of. If you haven't, every single market center should have some sort of tech trainer to help you. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out to the tech trainers. I'm going to actually, Josh, can you add your information into the chat so people can have it?
Sure can. So I'm going to add my email here. Feel free to reach out. I can help you out in any way. And also, Brooke Silva is our regional tech trainer. I mentioned earlier, if you tell your people, if I don't have the answer, I can find it for you. If I don't have the answer, usually I go to Brooke and she can find it for me. But she's a great resource too for all things tech and command related. I'll add her information here for those that don't have it.
There was a lot of stuff that we went through today, tons of information actually, and I hope it was informative. It's 11:35 right now, and I know we're a little over time here. Does anyone have any general questions? Anything about real estate that you're experienced, that you've always wanted to ask somebody that you don't know the answer to, you don't want to ask somebody in your office and you want to ask Josh or I? Christiana had to jump. She had a lunch appointment she had to get to. Any questions in general about anything that has to do with real estate that we can help?
I have a quick question,
Yes.
a marketing question. So of course, whenever you list a home, you list it on the MLS. What are other, I guess, tips or ideas for marketing to get it out in the open other than just word of mouth and MLS and Facebook groups?
Yeah, most of the MLSs, you're in New Hampshire, correct? Yeah, most of the MLSs have other options with third parties. So the third party options are typically near the bottom when you're entering in a listing, and you check off all those third parties. The only one that won't appear there, at least in the Vermont and New Hampshire one, is Zillow, but Realtor.com and all of those other third-party sites, Redfin, all them, you have the opportunity to check those off. By the way, a lot of agents don't understand this, but when you put a listing into the MLS, it then filtrates through every single real estate agent in your region's website. So you would actually go onto your competitor's website and actually see your listing on their website. And that's how the MLS works. It spreads it out to everybody. So everyone's sort of helping each other market the properties. The other way I would encourage you to do it is to to go to Craigslist, put it on Craigslist, post it on Facebook. We do on my team, we do 100 mailings to the neighborhood. Whenever we have a listing, we do a just listed card. We do the exact same when it's sold, we do a just sold card so that people actually will get the information to the local neighborhood. Hope that helped.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other basic questions that you all have? I hope this was beneficial today. We will post this. This will be posted in the next 48 hours, as Brooke said in the beginning, and we didn't get through all the material. David, you got a question? Sorry.
Yeah, this may not be within the realm of what we're supposed to be doing, but I saw this postcard. Oh, wait, I gotta fix my video. Sorry.
Yeah,
I know
fix your
there's
video.
there's certain things we need to avoid doing and certain things we're allowed to do. And I thought this kind of thing looked fascinating, but I know there's certain things like legally, I don't know. Can I offer, Mike, that if you give me a referral, I'll buy you a plane ticket to come to the closing?
Huh.
And
I've never heard that before.
and
Buy you
also
a-
look in
you
that bottom
can-
corner.
Yeah, you can do things like, offer $500 back at closing, all those kind of things. Each state is different, by the way. I would check your state rules.
Right.
State your state rules and regulations. But yes, you can, give a kickback at closing. But again, depending on the state. So
Yeah, I want to be clever and creative, and I know in some way there's expense connected with every lead, if you will, even if it's just time. But obviously, I don't want to get myself or anybody I'm associated with in trouble by doing the wrong thing.
There's
I would be
actually,
careful of it. And you also want to make sure that phone calls and stuff, you always want to check the do not call list before you make phone calls. I should have reminded us all that before we jumped on calls. But if you know somebody, it's probably not a big deal to call them. Valerie, you have a question?
Hi, I just want to share. So I'm terrified, right? You said make those calls, right? I'm sure a lot of you are feeling the same way. I'm like, if I get on that phone, I'm going to be on the phone, like someone had said, probably a half an hour. So rather than making one phone call, because I'm the biggest procrastinator, I went through my phone and all my contacts and I picked 5 people that I might want to call when this is over, right? So, but I didn't just do that. I wrote down their names and their phone number, and it's on my piece of paper. So I'm just going to be looking at it all day and find the courage to at least call 1 or 2 of them. And I'm going to use the word sort of what you said, just calling to check in to see how things are going. Can you believe summer's over? What did you do? And then use that sort of, hey, I know that I'm in real estate. I was just wondering if you knew of anybody who was looking to buy or sell. So see, I was able to just say that to all you folks, but to get on that phone, oh my gosh. So it's something I really need to work with. And I just want to let the other newbies know you're not alone and we'll get through this.
Valerie, that is so awesome that you're willing to share that. But just remember where the magic is. The magic is getting uncomfortable. And we need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's really what it's, and it takes a while to do that. It definitely takes a while. Elaine?
I just wanted to know, how do you access a do not call list? Is there a service or something to find out what those numbers are?
Yeah, Josh, you have that? Can you post that in the chat?
yeah, let me try and find it here real quick.
Josh will find it and post in the chat for everybody. If we don't, we'll send it out by email.
Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else? I appreciate that, Valerie, because I'm with you. When I first started in real estate, it was it was tough. I mean, it's tough to get started and get going. It really is. But you just got to do it. You got to jump in the pool. Anybody else? I know everybody's feeling that way. I know a lot of people are. It's difficult to pick up the phone and just say, hey, here I am, I'm in real estate. But once you get going on it, you're going to be surprised. And the thing is especially if you're calling off of a cold call list, 99% of the people are going to be super nice and be happy to hear from you. As long as you're coming from a place of contribution, that 1%, if they're, excuse my language, a jackass, you'll never see them again. So what does it matter, right? Who cares? A new agent who's been very, very successful in our office, that's his mentality. He doesn't care because he'll probably never see that person again. So anyone have anything else? I really appreciate everybody joining. I wish you all the best of luck in your new real estate career. My email is in the chat. Josh's email is in the chat. Josh, did you find us a list? I muted you, Josh.
I think I just found it now. I'm going to send it in the chat. I believe this is the right one. If you want to verify, Mike.
Yep, that'll work.
That's the one.
All right, folks, feel free to reach out anytime if you have any questions, happy to help. If you don't feel like you're getting the right answers, feel free to reach out. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a fantastic day. Good luck. Hopefully we'll see you in a couple of weeks. We're going to come back with another Ignite class on the 28th, I believe. Hopefully we'll see you all then.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you very much.
Stay awesome, guys. Stay
Thank
awesome.
you.
See ya.